There's very few people that are successful small business owners that are actually talking about what they're doing to win in that space. I mean, I've been grinding for 10 years, built a business that's, relatively successful, and I don't miss the gym, and I don't miss dinner time, and I don't miss bedtime.
Yeah.
And I never really have either. Hey everyone, welcome to the vlog. It is January, and the first couple weeks of January, it's a lot of meetings. It's a lot of planning out the entire year, a lot of goal setting, even though we started that at the end of last year. So for this vlog, it's kind of just a lot of meetings. So there wasn't a whole lot going on besides me just in my office, meeting with a lot of different people, trying to figure out what's going on the rest of this year. So I historically here have grown by direct sales, and as we're going on this journey of trying to figure out how to kind of brand ourselves better, use marketing instead of direct sales to grow our business, I decided to be really interesting to document that journey. Being a small business without an unlimited budget to go hire any of this out and pay $1 million to an agency who would do a good job, it's not always in the cards for small business. So I think there's got to be people out there that this is probably interesting for, and so we're documenting that journey. For me, that can be challenging because I'm trying to figure this out, just like maybe the other small business owner is. But hopefully, as I plow through this, there's maybe some tidbits of information here that if you're a small business owner or you're wanting to start a small business, there's things in here that you can watch and learn. And I always say experience is the best teacher, but it doesn't necessarily have to be yours. So maybe that can be mine. And so the first clip here is just from a meeting that we had of me just talking about documenting this process and agency work and things like that. So that's the first clip. I think the part that I was thinking about that will be vulnerable to me, but that's why I think it should be filmed and would be good, is us, all this, that's why our last video should have been filmed, is all that stuff we don't know and we do not understand is like, I think like part of that process should be, I mean, that's why we're doing this also, but that process should be documented, because what I don't know, and that's like, to me, that's like real life, legit. I didn't have, I didn't take just a cool $1 million and go pay an agency and they figured it out and got it to work. But like, this is me grinding it out for my own business, learning how to make this happen, which there's tons of value in that for people who don't know what they're doing. And I'm not even professing like, hey, I'm teaching you how to do it. I don't know what I'm doing.
We're documenting.
I'm literally documenting me trying to figure this out, and you'll see when we suck and when we fail, and you'll see when we figure it out and don't fail. But that's like, to me, that's more vulnerable, because I'm very comfortable saying like, yeah, I do this because I know that, and I've been doing it for a long time, and now I've already learned and failed and learned how that worked and learned how to mismanage people so that they quit and hate me. I've already learned that lesson and played that game, and so I don't do that now. And so, but this other part is the part that's like freaks me out a little bit, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing at all. So you see in that clip, obviously it's going to be a little bit of a challenge for me. It feels vulnerable because I don't exactly know what I'm doing. But that was the same way when I started my business too. And so we are just going and figuring it out, and we're going to document that so you can see it. This next little clip is from a conference call that I had, talking specifically about finding your target customer or customers and how many different categories of those there are. We're learning a lot about that, and how the Amazons and Apples of the world are winning because they understand more about their consumers than even they probably do themselves. And so here's the next clip, number 2, a conference call that I had. It's funny that you just said that, because this has been like a overwhelming pain point for me for like the past 2 weeks. We've been doing a lot of research and figuring out, I realize this is like an ongoing thing where we're constantly building out these personas.
Right.
But I would rather like do nothing for a month and spend time building out personas that are accurate than build out personas that are totally wrong and spend money marketing to wrong people.
Okay.
So
That makes sense.
this is not something I plan on taking a long time. This is something that, like, I mean, I know for Alex has probably spent several hours just like researching this and doing this week. So I think we will definitely have personas, but I believe we'll have 3 to 5 supremely accurate personas. And I don't know when that'll be. I imagine in like a week or so. Brennan comes out here next Wednesday. I imagine by then we'll have the beginning of what like some personas are. But I think, yeah, that's what I think. So obviously, understanding your target customer has been talked about forever in marketing. And it's just a lot, it's different now in the age of information, the amount of information we can have and how super targeted that can be. And so that's a different process, I think, now. So we're learning about that process and trying to put those different things together. And we'll continue to document that, obviously, as we do it, and so you can kind of have an idea of how that works. I think there's a good way to do that, and then some bad ways to do it. I intend on really learning how to do that the right way. The next clip here was just a meeting that I had. It's a friend of mine that is starting a small business. He wanted to come in town, have some conversations, talk with me a little bit about what my experiences have been, see if I can help guide him and help him figure out what he's trying to do in starting his specific business. This conversation that we had that I wanted to show a little bit of is talking about his personal brand and how that relates to his company and how those things maybe should be different, how they should be the same. Oftentimes small business owners, there has to be some personal brand to get your customers to know and trust you and like you and want to do business with you. And so this is a conversation about how much of his personal brand should involve things like his family and his personal life into his business and how those things might affect one another. And so you'll see that conversation right here. You have a serious conversation about your kids and how much you want them to be in videos and involved in your business. You have a real conversation about that. Serious. You have a real conversation about that. And I respect if they're not really in mine, right? But I also respect if they are too. And if they are, that's the world you need to live in, right? Value about being a veteran in this city. Value about, hey, if you don't want to hire me, good, here's 3 quick, easy ways to get rid of your guy, right? Now you're the expert. And then some videos of like your kids running around the office and now you're the family guy. Like if that's what you're going to do, I don't think there's bad or good for either. You just got to have, that's a conversation you should have with your wife. But yeah, I think those are the pieces of content that you're putting up there. Look, Mike, the local family guy, the Army veteran, he gives me value as a veteran. He gives me value as like, hey, we have this problem we can't get rid of. Who should we call? Oh, Mike. That's what we should go. You can see in the last clip there, obviously, I was trying to help my friend kind of understand how to link his personal brand and his regular brand together, especially important in a small business. And so that's just a conversation you'll have to have and kind of figure that out yourself, just the same way that I'm trying to figure this out right now. So to end the vlog, I thought I would kind of map it out on the whiteboard for those of you that are interested or are running small businesses. If not, and this is where this is where you turn it off, we'll catch you on the next vlog. But for those of you that want to kind of understand the basic understanding of all the time in books and visiting, media agencies, that for my business, my small business, and I think is applicable. Actually, I think this is applicable for really any small business. Is kind of what your foundation is going to be. So, at the top of any of this stuff is going to be what I had talked about in the other clip, which is understanding personas. So you have to understand who your customer is, the same way that an Amazon or an Apple understands why you make certain purchases that you do. They understand you well enough that I'll go into a store, see the product I like, and I've even made purchases on Amazon while looking at it in the store. So you got to understand why your customers are making purchases. This is an ongoing process that for me is fascinating, and I think a lot of small businesses don't take very much time to do this the way the big giant corporations do. But that's going to be super important as you go down to understand who your customer is. The number one most basic thing, I believe, is customer experience leading to referrals. So once you kind of understand who your customer is and what they do, why they do it, what their hobbies are, what their interests are, what they like, what they don't like, the first most important thing is that you design a customer experience around making those people want to work with you forever. So that way they're talking about you and referring it to other people. So put yourself in their shoes. How would you want to be treated, or what would make you talk about them without giving them $100 or $50 off their next service or their next product? How are you going to make them want to talk about their friends or text their friends about it? I've had a bunch of experiences where I've wanted to talk about it because the thing that they did for me was just so cool and I thought was so different. So how do you stand out? How can you do something different that's going to make them want to talk about you? That should drive a lot of referral business, which in a small business should be your lifeblood. That's where a lot of your business should come from, is that. Number two is email. So it's still, to a lot of media agencies now who are really into the new age and internet and Facebook, which is accurate, there's still a place for email. So get email campaigns set up, figure out how to make it automated so that you're constantly emailing customers, possibly for referrals. Once they refer someone, it drops into another email campaign. But you can literally build this out and set it up to where you don't ever have to touch it. But it's just constantly giving content and information to your customers. You'll get a lot of sales from. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit that you'll still get from these types of campaigns. Email campaigns happen to be a lot about timing. Maybe they're ready, and then all of a sudden they get an email from you. Somehow email campaigns still work for me. The third thing there's still an element in a small business of just getting the phone to ring. That's where you have the most control. When the phone rings, you or your employees, you can train those people to convert those leads. Once you get somebody on the phone, you have the ability to really control that instead of it all being online and something that may seem more difficult to understand. So this is a little bit more old school, but still there's just a ton of business out there. It's a little more expensive, and so I think you got to be careful how much money you put into that. But I think there's definitely a place for any small business, whether it's sending out mailers, some sort of radio ad, some sort of maybe a magazine ad. We're still doing our research into which part of this we want to kind of mess around with. It can be a black hole. It can be really expensive, I believe, but I think that's a really good way to get the phone to ring. There's still plenty of examples of people that are using this now and getting a ton of sales from it. The last thing, which I think is long-term going to be the most important thing, is Facebook marketing. Facebook has all the information about all your target customers. So as you know who your personas are, you can so specifically target people on Facebook, and I think very few people understand how to do it. It's also a lot of underpriced attention. And so the more you can learn about Facebook and how to specifically target people, how to build content around who your brand is, similar to what I was talking about with my friend about what part of his life he involves into his business, but that's where you can build out content. But Facebook can be so specific that you can target the exact people that you're looking for. So this is like a simple basic breakdown. There's plenty of other ways to advertise and market your business outside of this, but I think for any small business, this is just the starting point. And you create your budgets and how much you want to spend, but this is kind of the foundation of what you need to do, in my opinion, that I've found to grow your business successfully. This is kind of your foundation. So I hope that's helpful for some of you. Like I said, we're still learning about this. We're just kind of still narrowing it down. This is an everyday process. I'm back to feeling very passionate, but I'm feeling mostly passionate about something that I'm learning and don't understand. and I'm also probably failing a lot along the way. But to me, that's how I learn and what I get most excited about. And those of you that are really entrepreneurs and small business owners, you'll feel the same way. So take this for what it's worth as one person's opinion, but I hope that that's helpful. That's it for this week's vlog. We'll continue to update you as we do this going forward, and let you know how these things are going in my business and how they're working and how we're putting those together. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.